You may perhaps know the name George Jackson. He's the man with the white hair and beard that looks like Santa Claus, shaking hands with former Maryland Comptroller Peter Franchot, who wanted to name a bridge after him. The bridge, which you can see in the background, was the Dover Bridge, where there had been way too many accidents. Well, George lobbied for years to have another built, and it finally was.
Or perhaps you've heard of George being associated with scrolls and soldiers overseas. Now, either way, George Jackson is a Delmarva icon whose heart is possibly bigger than this entire peninsula.
But there is so much more to George Jackson than just a bridge and some paper scrolls, and we are so happy to have him here with us, American Coroner's very own George Jackson. George, it's so good to see you in Historic Studio D.
It's good to see you and Jimmy, the whole family at WBOC, and everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you all for inviting me. Thank you.
So for those, we know a lot about you. We know you're from American Coroner. Can you give us a little brief, a little more?
Just about you.
Yeah, you.
Well, I'm just a guy who grows a lot of vegetables, so I can buy gas for the scroll drive. and I travel a lot of places.
George, I got to tell you, you have this vague resemblance to Santa Claus.
Yeah, I've been doing that. This year is my 45th year.
Is that right?
45 years, yeah. National Guard for over 30 years, Maryland State Police, Bears Carriage Drive for a long time. I'm getting old now, and it's something I love to do.
Yeah.
And I started off going to farmers' houses around the neighborhood, and now I've been to places like the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and the Rotunda of Santa Claus, and been to the Speaker's office, and the late Sonny Bono, I was his Santa Claus. He was in Congress, and
really?
So it's been a lot of travel. In 1995, my first scroll I handed off to Brigadier General Mike Boots at Dover Air Force Base, and he gave me a book with a message on it that I'll keep forever. And so I got a lot to remember, a lot of stuff.
I guess so.
And my wife helps me so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Shirley is my, well, I call her a responsible adult. She keeps me straight.
Keeps you in line.
All right, so I want to go back a little bit. You mentioned the scrolls.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, how did that all come about?
I had a roll of paper in the closet that Shirley brought home to put down for painting. And I asked Shirley if I could have a roll, and she said yes. And I took it to the Armory that weekend with me in Easton, and set it up for people to sign. Well, I did not know then it would take a life on of its own. That day, the Baltimore Sun was there, and Channel 16, Bob Lowndes, remember Bob Lowndes was there, and they put it on TV. And next day, they asked me if I'd come there more times. So I asked the sergeant, Sergeant Harrison, I asked Captain Danowski, and they said, yeah, come all week long. So I wore to Santa Claus every day of that week until the craft show that following weekend, Saturday. And I had over 300 feet of messages come Saturday. Next job was to get it to the troops. So I contacted Congressman Gilchrist's office, and Everett Emerson, a guy up there, he told me, he called me back, but the main thing is I got a call from a captain aboard a C-5 over the Atlantic.
Yeah.
He called me, he says, George, and he went, shh, like that. I said, yes, sir. He says, this is Captain Wanzek. I said, he said, oh, no, it's Colonel Wanzek then. Anyway, he says, we understand you got a scroll, you want us to get to Bosnia. I said, yes, sir. He said, can you come next Thursday and give the scroll over to the Brigadier General Mike Boots in front of the Christmas tree and light the Christmas tree? So I said, yes, sir. So I come over there that Thursday. It was December 13th, 1995. And I handed the general the scroll after riding on the fire trucks through all the base housing, throwing out USO candy to all of them. And I had such a good time I did, and met so many wonderful people. And that was the first one. And after that, it took on a life of its own. The Air Force contacted me that following summer and wanted to know if I'd do one for Africa and one for Kuwait, and another one in Bosnia.
Are you still doing it? Are you still doing
Still doing them. Yeah, this is my 29th year. I started them at Jeff Merritt's packing party this spring. And then I've been to Applebee's, and this past weekend I was at Post 64 American Legion for the big bike run the Brothers at Arms had there.
Where are you next?
Next, okay, I got to be at, let's see, I got Summerfest in Denton.
Okay.
I got the Steam Show in Phillipsburg.
All right.
I got a lot of small places. I'm going to go to my Walmarts because I love Walmart.
You got to go there.
Yeah, Walmart
So-
Cambridge brings me inside, out of the rain, and puts me in there.
Even better.
Her name is Chrissy Savage, and Chrissy's takes care of all that.
George, we could sit here and talk to you for the rest of the show
Yeah.
and probably go right through the WBOC News at 6, but we can't. Thank you so much for what you have done all these years. What you continue to do is absolutely amazing, and you heard where he's going to be, so please be sure to go out, sign a scroll with a message to our troops overseas. George Jackson, American Corner, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.